Hello and welcome to all our friends joining us from around the world. It's Rena here from Sofiri, coming live to you from Australia, along with Mahdi and Muna. So welcome to you both. We're so pleased to have you join us here today. Today we're talking about what it's like to live and study in Melbourne, and we'll also be talking about Swinburne University of Technology, so what you can study, what makes it a fantastic choice for international students, and what you can expect from student life on campus. So let me start by introducing Mahdi again. Mahdi, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks, Rena, for the introduction. I'm Mahdi Shariatian from Swinburne University of Technology. I'm International Recruitment Manager for Faculty of Science, Engineering and Technology.
Great, thank you. And Muna, can you introduce yourself to us as well?
Hi, thank you, Rena. I'm Maimuna, but you can also call me Muna. And I am a final year PhD student at Swinburne University of Technology.
Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks again for joining us here today. So what I'll do is tell you a little bit about how we're going to be running our session. So we're going to begin by talking about Melbourne as a destination for international students. And then we're going to open up the session for a question and answer segment, where we'll take any questions you have for Mahdi and Muna. And we'll wrap up the session by taking you through a tutorial on how you can get your own education counsellor to continue this conversation one-on-one. So for our friends joining us here on Facebook and our webinar, send us an emoji or a greeting to let us know that you're here. And send us any questions that come to mind as we talk through our session today, and we'll answer them as we go. Okay. So Mahdi, let's begin by talking a little bit about Melbourne. Where can we find Melbourne on a map?
Well, at this time of basically time of this century, I don't think it would be a difficult thing to do. So just Google Melbourne. We are a capital city of the Victoria, one of the states in Australia. So we're located in the south east of the continent. We will that's basically how you can find Melbourne on the map.
Yeah, great. We're about an hour away from Sydney, is that right?
A bit more than, so it's about 900 kilometers between Sydney and Melbourne, so an hour and 30 minutes flight. Great. Very regular flights between Melbourne and Sydney. I think during the peak hours, it's like every 10, 11 minutes or 10, 15 minutes. There is a flight, from Melbourne to Sydney.
Great, so right in the thick of it. So,
yeah.
In Australia, we know that Melbourne has a vibrant student life and culture. Can you tell our viewers some of the things they can look forward to if they choose Melbourne as their study location?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I started with the Multicultural Society of Melbourne. And when I say multicultural, it means people from every part of the world. You can find them in Melbourne. One of the easiest ways, basically, there's an evidence to my saying about it is the number of cuisines and restaurants you can find in Melbourne. The suburb we are now here, like Swinburne, is located in Hawthorn. If you walk from up the Glenferrie Road towards basically to the campus, in a sort of 100 to 200 meters sort of laneway, you can find, I can say, minimum of 30 different cuisines. So from Southeast Asians, including Vietnamese, Thai, Malaysian, Indonesian, to South American, Middle Eastern. Heaps of options are there available. So the Multicultural Society makes basically the students welcome to this city. And the other thing is basically the city is ready and the mindset is there to welcome international students. Second thing about studying as a student in Melbourne is which I find it particularly interesting, is the networking opportunities are available in Melbourne for international students for different types of purposes, like finding friends, finding opportunities for businesses and jobs in the future. There are a lot of opportunities available in Melbourne for international students to improve and increase their networks in Melbourne, to become successful in their careers, to enjoy their time as a student in Australia. Lastly, I want to mention that Melbourne has been the most livable city in the world in the past 7 years.
Yes.
This year we got beaten by Vienna.
But 7
So
years in a row, you got to give someone else a turn.
yes, exactly. So we have set their standards pretty high. We still are very proud of being the second most livable city in the world. And there are good reasons for that. Melbourne is safe. Melbourne lifestyle. Melbourne is amazing. Opportunities for part-time jobs and full-time jobs is fantastic. The economy is growing in Melbourne, and I have to say that Melbourne is going to become the biggest city in Australia by, if I'm not making a mistake, by 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
No problem.
So Muna, what have some of your favourite experiences in Melbourne been so far? Could you tell us a bit about that?
Thank you for the question, Rina. Just before I start, I have a little 3-year-old who is roaming around. He can come in front any moment, so I'm really sorry for that if that happened. Okay, so what was my experience?
What have some of your favourite experiences been since you've been living in Melbourne?
Yes, the favorites is what Mahdi has said. I'm just going to reiterate on that. The enormous amount of like multiculturalism, that has been my favorite experience, because I come from Bangladesh and I found myself at home at Melbourne because nothing was amiss. I mean, I wasn't homesick. That's the best experience, I'd say.
That's beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Great. Have you? I know that Melbourne is known for its coffee and its cafe culture, and that can be those sorts of things. Events, music festivals, things like that can be an important part of student life. Have you had the opportunity to take part in any of those sorts of things? I know food festivals are one of my favourite things when I travel to Melbourne.
Yes, the food festivals. Yes, we have had our own country's food festivals as well. So I've never I have never had to miss anything from my country. That is, So I don't really go on to I don't know about the music or because I haven't been to any of those. But yes, food. I'd say the street food, especially, is my favorite. That is something I'm missing because now currently I am in Sydney. So I'm an off-campus student. I'm now in Sydney, but I've been missing the Lord of the Fries a lot. That is one of my favorite foods. And so the thing is that whatever cuisine, whatever you are after, you can get it in Melbourne. That's the basic thing. So.
I can also just add, Rina, about the sport culture of Melbourne as well. So Melbourne is the capital city of sports in Australia. Pretty big things happen in Melbourne throughout the year. We have so basically the beginning of the year, the big thing is the tennis. So the big heads will always come in, and you can just go to the Rod Laver Arena and see Serena Williams playing in the court, or Djokovic or Federer. So the first Grand Slam in the world starts in Melbourne. You can, if you're into cars and fast cars, we've got the Formula One Grand Prix. I think, if I'm not making a mistake, around March, April here. We have the horse race that stops the nation, the Melbourne Cup around October, November here. and plenty of others. Melbournians are very, very popular with their sport cultures. So, and obviously the Melbourne, the Australian Football League, the AFL, initiated in Melbourne as a Victorian football league. Now it's just very popular across the country.
Yeah, look, it seems safe to say that when we aren't studying, we'll certainly find ourselves having a lot to do in Melbourne. Well, we've talked a lot about Melbourne, but let's talk about Swinburne University itself. Mahdi, you said earlier that you're in Hawthorn. Is that where the Swinburne campus is?
Yes, so Swinburne campus is located at Hawthorn. It's a suburb in the eastern side of the CBD. So about 11 kilometers from the center of the city, towards the east. And there's a train line that goes through the campus. So there's a train station right in the middle of the campus. And during the peak hours, there is a train every 3 to 5 minutes from the city to the campus, and from the campus to the city. 3 train lines actually goes from the city to towards the east: the Lilydale line, Belgrave line, and also Alamein line. So if you hop on any of those trains, you can get off at Glenferrie and you're at the campus. So we're sort of the corner of Glenferrie Road and Burwood Roads, and you can have a look at that on the map. The train ride is about 11 minutes in the worst case scenarios. But if you manage to get the express trains, which again happens most of the time, during the morning time, and also at around 4 to 7 o'clock at night, it takes less than 7 minutes to get to the city, or from the city back to the campus. Hawthorn is a great suburb to be at. It's a very lively, vibrant suburb. There's a lot happening in Hawthorn every day. Basically, I can proudly say that Swinburne is located as the best place in Melbourne.
Oh.
You're not in the city because there's no so you're sort of as close to the city as you want to be. You're not being a part of the big, all the crowd and the traffic and the big smoke, but you are just a train like 7 to 10 minutes to the city. And at the same time, because Hawthorn is sort of a residential / business type of center, so there is a lot of opportunities around that. So from restaurants and bars and cafes to supermarkets around the corner, banks, so name it. So if you basically if you study at Swinburne and live around Hawthorn, you don't need a car. Okay, you can walk to the supermarkets, you can walk to the banks, you can walk to the park, walk to the station. So everything is around you. And the campus is sort of located into 2 blocks. So the northern block, we have the faculties and the sort of the technology center where the labs are. And the southern part of the campus is basically where you can find all the student services, student areas, a nice basically garden that students can spend some time there, and the vocational education part of it, because Swinburne is a dual sector, so higher education and vocational education. We don't have a massive big campus. Hawthorn is a very congested suburb compared to other suburbs in the basically eastern side of Melbourne.
Okay.
But we have managed to efficiently use the space that we have here to provide the facilities that students would require.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Look, I want to ask you in a moment a little bit more about your engineering courses, because here at Sophiri we've had a lot of interest in your Master of Professional Engineering. But before I ask you that, I will say to everyone who's joined us here today on Facebook and our webinar to start asking your questions for Mahdi and Muna, because we are going to move across to our question and answer session very soon, and they're here and available to answer any questions you've ever had about living and studying in Melbourne and at Swinburne University. So Mahdi, I'll ask you as well. So what are the disciplines that are offered at Swinburne?
Well, Swinburne is a basically very comprehensive university. We have 3 faculties: Faculty of Science, Engineering and Technology that I represent, Faculty of Business and Law, and Faculty of Health, Arts and Design. So we offer courses from vocational education up to like Cert 3 and 4 to diplomas and advanced diplomas to foundations, undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD. So we do have a diverse range of courses, as I said, in these disciplines. So, for example, in business, we cover marketing, human resource management, accounting, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Just in brackets, I have to say that we are the first university to have the Australian Graduate School of Entrepreneurship, and 2 courses in law. In science, engineering, and technology, we cover chemistry, biochemistry, environmental science, maths, and physics. To aviation, engineering, in different areas: civil, mechanical, electrical, electronics, robotics, mechatronics, and in IT in areas like cybersecurity, Internet of Things, networks, to sort of professional degrees in information technology. In health, we run programs in nursing, psychology. In arts, a number of different design, courses in design, media and communication, architecture, and in arts as well. So quite a diverse range of courses. We have our strengths in all different areas. So, for example, in design, we have a design center at Swinburne that works with big design schools in the UK and US. So these are basically design, they call themselves design factories. So we work on projects together. In terms of the Australian Graduate School of Entrepreneurship, we're the #1 in Australia who started that idea and having a graduate school of entrepreneurship in engineering and IT that I'll talk a little bit more. We have #1 labs for civil engineering, which is called the Smart Structures Lab. Very unique. There's only one other lab like that in our campus, like in the world. It's just located in the University of Berkeley, California, and then also the Factory of the Future, which is the #1 fully digitized Industry 4.0 test lab. I'm happy to provide more information if there's any questions on those. So just to wrap up, we offer a diverse range of courses. So if you're after anything, just let us know. We probably would have that course for you. By saying that we are Swinburne University of Technology doesn't mean we only run technology courses. We are multidisciplinary.
Just, I'd like to add a little bit on that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Just to add, Swinburne, I think recently also introduced their first course in engineering practice, which is also a very innovative thing to do, which I think in Australia, I think no one else has done that yet.
Yeah.
And also the astrophysics department at Swinburne is world class. It's like one of the world's best, and that's something that I have been very proud of since I joined Swinburne. Yeah, so these 2 things I think should be highlighted as well. Thank you, Mahdi.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mona. Thank you. No,
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Look, I will ask a little bit about the Master of Professional Engineering now. As I mentioned before, we've had a lot of interest in this course from the young people who we've been talking to. So could you tell us a little bit more about the Master of Professional Engineering? I'll just ask you to speak up a little bit because I think it's a bit quiet.
Okay. So Master of Professional Engineering is a 2 years degree that is is run by Swinburne University. Like other master's degrees in engineering, students need a 4 years undergraduate degree to be able to come to this program. So this course is very much focused on the management and project management and risk and sustainability in engineering as part of the core component of the program. And students can select a specialization from one of the 9 very interesting specializations that we have, like robotics, microelectronics, renewable energy, engineering management, and so forth. So the information is available about the engineering. But one particular thing that makes this Master of Professional Engineering very, very unique to Swinburne is a program that runs basically in parallel with the sort of core and the specialization component, which is called the Career Success Program. So this is basically designed and added to the course because we have understood that students who come from an engineering background would need some support from us to be able to find a job. And we often have noticed that a lot of our engineering graduates who come to these and study masters in Australia are lacking a bit of skills and basically knowledge in the enterprising part. So the enterprising skills, or what you may call the soft skills part. So the Career Success Program is a program that can help students to develop their skills that the employers would need. So imagine an international students coming fresh out of the undergraduate degree and want to do a postgraduate with us, and in 2 years' time they have to go and find a job. So they are here with us for 2 years, and in these 2 years they have to complete their Master of Professional Engineering and also get ready for the job market, get ready to sell themselves, get ready to build their brand. So during these 2 years, we help them step by step to build that. So we run workshops for the students to develop these skills, communication, networking, interpersonal, presentation. And on top of that, we will organize a lot of networking events for the students to be able to go and meet with, industry people, or even invite the industry people to the university to talk to the students about the trends in the industry, and also provide opportunities for students to present their works, their research, their projects to the industry and talk to them about it. These networking events are very, very important because that's, again, is a part of the job market in Australia. You need to have a good network. Thirdly is about basically the boring part of job hunting, which is application processes. Then at the moment, this is very important, and a lot of our students do not have the skills of how to submit a new application. They get missed out of this a lot of job opportunities because they don't know how to write a good resume, how to write a good cover letter, how to address the either the key selection criteria or the points on the job descriptions, and we are quite sure that our students have got the capacity to go and get these jobs and be a fantastic asset to their companies. But how to sell that, how to let the people know how fantastic they are. We teach them how to do it. And on top of that, what the Career Success Program involves is basically a graduate recruitment mock process. So students will go through a proper graduate recruitment process. They submit an application, they go for an interview, and then through that process, they basically understand how things are going to work, how they have to perform at the interview, what to say, what not to say, and basically get them ready for the real action. And finally, and most importantly, the Career Success Programs includes an industry project. And that industry project is basically a compulsory component to the course, so it's a part of the curriculum. And that can be done as a project with the industry, or as an internship or a placement with an industry. partner. One basically thing that is again unique to this course is this career success program is jointly run by Swinburne and a company called Raw Talent. So who is Raw Talent is a bunch of very, very experienced professionals, long-term CFOs and CEOs of big groups, company that got together. They understand the business, they understand the industry. They're jointly working with Swinburne to develop this program. So as a university, we have understood that we need to ask for help from professionals to be able to run these and make sure our students are employable. So we're getting their support to run these programs jointly, and these are basically included in the program as part of the curriculum. One thing I've missed is basically the individual career coaching. So a lot of our students don't know what sort of careers they want to follow in the future, or where they want to find jobs, or basically their knowledge about their opportunities are limited. So through these career coaching sessions, our consultants would get to the bottom of the students' desires and needs, and find out what they really want to do in the future, and helping them to map out the process.
That's very comprehensive. That's very comprehensive. That's practical experience, as well as help writing resumes. I imagine that the employment outcomes for people who study your Master of Professional Engineering must be pretty good.
Absolutely. Look, I just want to add something else. So this professional master's program was something that Swinburne introduced in a number of different areas as well. So these services that are offered to our engineering students are tailored in a way to fit the needs of the engineering industry and students. We do have professional degrees in our areas like project management, marketing, human resource management, and some other areas. So the career success programs comes with other programs as well. So if you're interested in a business degree, there is a professional master's as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we'll have some questions coming up about the Master of Professional Engineering. But before we start our question and answer segment, I have one last question for Muna. And I wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about your Swinburne degree and where you see it taking you in your career.
Thanks, Rina. So my Swinburne degree is, I've started my PhD it's been a while. It's been I've started in 2012, but then I had to move interstate. I had to move from Melbourne to Sydney, and then Swinburne allowed this flexibility to me to become off campus, because I was a domestic student though at that time, because I started as an international, but I transferred into domestic student at that time. So I became off campus and part-time after I had my little boy. He's 3.5 years old now. So
I can see his head bobbing there.
Yeah, he already. So I became part-time after that, and that's why I took my time in finishing. So I'm supposed to be finished by this month.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
Yes, I will be submitting hopefully by the next week. And the degrees, the PhD degree that I have that I'm doing is in the area of educational technology management, just engineering practice, that the thing that I had just mentioned before. So so my research group was engineering and science education research, but now it has moved. So now there is no such research group. But then I am doing my degree in. So my research is in educational technology management, and I see myself. I see that there are a lot of opportunities in this area in the future. So I see myself as probably as a learning designer if I want to move away from academia. But if I do want to keep in academia, I do see that myself as a faculty in one of the universities of Australia somewhere. Yes, and the field that I am studying, I think it's very diverse, and there is a lot of opportunity because my study is mainly on educational technology management. So educational technology is currently a a big thing. There is a big trend for universities to incorporate technology into their teaching. So no matter the discipline. So I see that that is the key thing. So for that reason, I believe that I can contribute to any field, whichever field it is. It's not discipline specific.
Yeah.
So that is the main benefit that I see in myself.
Yeah.
In terms of Swinburne, I must reiterate the support that I have had from Swinburne, and I am one of many PhD students in my when I joined, I had lots of support from other PhD students, so we had a lot of support network, and that was very important for me in helping me throughout this journey and going. And I hope I will be able to finish it very soon.
Yeah,
yes.
Congratulations on nearing the end of your PhD.
Thank you.
Great. Well, what I'm going to do now is open up for our question and answer session. So if you've joined us on Facebook, ask us a question about what it's like to live and study in Melbourne, or study at Swinburne University of Technology as well. We've talked a lot about the Master of Professional Engineering course there, so feel free to ask us any questions about that as well. So whether you've joined us on Facebook just now or on our webinar, please don't be shy. Ask us any questions you've got. So let me see what questions we may have here waiting. So in our webinar, we have a question here about, and it is, what are the differences between Swinburne and other universities in Melbourne? Mahdi, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, look, this is a very broad question,
It is.
and it's we can look at it from different perspectives, basically. So what I try to what I'm thinking of, like the main differences, is basically as I said, it's a very broad. So I'm trying to pick a part of it.
I can
So,
see
for
that
example, what I can say is let's start from the technology and facilities that we have on campus. So we try to be number one in when it comes to technology and comes to our facilities in labs. So we try to take the risk to become number one. So that's why we've spent over $50 million to have a factory of the future, which is the number one fully digitized Industry 4.0 test lab in the world. And when I'm not sure if you're aware of the Industry 4.0 and what it is about. It's basically about the cyber physical systems. It's about the fourth wave of the industry after mass production and automation is cyber physical systems. So it's basically the lab facilitates a virtual factory that starts from 3D design and virtual reality to a production of a real product, and all of this and all the basically communication between the machines in different parts happens through the internet. So topics like Internet of Things, advanced manufacturing, virtual reality, artificial engineering, software engineering, robotics and mechatronics, to data science and cybersecurity is tested, run, and basically experienced in this particular lab. The other one that I mentioned also previously is the Smart Structures Lab, which is number one in the Southern Hemisphere. And that's basically a civil engineering lab, a lab that can facilitate testing of structures, though concrete or metal, in very sort of real world type of conditions. So what we have in that lab is to just explain it very, very simple, is simulates a real earthquake. So puts pressures on the structure in different angles, in different axes, to up to 300 tons per each of the angles. We have machines that can put 500 tons of pressure at every single point in time on the structure. So one of the main projects we did through that Smart structure lab is by extending the Westgate Bridge is basically a bridge that goes from the city, the CBD of Melbourne towards the west. So it goes over the ocean. So they were thinking of extending a lane to that. So they brought and they already had built the bridge. So we tested the concrete, made sure it's fit. So our scholars and researchers did that through the Smart Structures Lab. The other thing is I want to refer to Muna's comment about our Bachelor of Engineering practice. We want to be pioneers. We want to test things. So this is another difference. That's why we have the Bachelor of Engineering practice. I'm definitely sure Muna can provide more information about that. But that course is basically a different view and different perspective to studying and learning engineering. We've gone and spoken to the industry, have identified a need that students need to be able to work on projects from the very first day they come to the university. That's why we don't look at their ATAR. They only need to have an ATAR to be able to come and do an engineering. But to get into the engineering practice, they have to submit a real job application type of thing. You know, they have to write back to questions like that. What do you see? How do you see yourself fixing a problem as an engineer in the future? What's your view of an engineering? So students have to submit an answer to these and then come for an interview with us. That we have to test them and see if they are real team players, if they can communicate within the teams, and those students will come and start in the engineering practice academy and become a member of the academy, not a student. Mm-hmm. They work on real projects from the very first day. So having this basically, I want to say, innovative and different approach to teaching and learning, and being able to take risk and invest on that can be basically one of our differences to other universities. But if the question is more detailed about like our courses or other basically aspects, I would be able to provide more information.
Please ask any other further questions if we haven't answered your question as fully as you'd like us to. And again, we're in our question and answer session, and we're talking to Mahdi and Muna about living and studying in Melbourne and at Swinburne University. So keep the questions coming.
But I just want to add something else, Rena, that I just remembered is the other thing that is really important for us is our graduate, our student satisfaction. So students having a good time and enjoying their studies while they're at Swinburne. We've had the highest graduate satisfaction rate compared to other Victorian universities in the field of computer science and engineering. So the details of this findings is, everybody can go to the KILT website, qilt.edu.au. So it's a sort of anonymous surveys from current students and graduates that happens twice every year. I think around Australia. In Victoria, we're proud to say that we're number one in graduate satisfaction for computer science and engineering, both undergraduate and postgraduate.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, we'll pop a link to that website in the comments in a moment, so you can take a look at that yourself. I have another question here, and it's about accommodation options at Swinburne. So I think that means on campus. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, Mahdi?
Yes, Muna, do you have any comments on that?
I think I have a little bit of comments on that because I have lots of friends who are still living around Hawthorne. So I'm not exactly sure about the on-campus accommodation. I think there are some of those uni-lodge apartments, but around Swinburne there are a lot of opportunities for students to either rent something on their own, like a one better studio type of apartments. Plus, also there are some lots of house sharing opportunities as well. So I have a lot of friends who live in that area around Hawthorne, Glenferrie, and I believe Swinburne, that area, and also Melbourne is very still a lot affordable compared to Sydney, because that is where I live, and I know how higher it is to live, especially in Sydney. The universities, whichever university you go to, around the university, it's very hard to find a location where you can rent somewhere close to the university and still like afford your studies. So at Swinburne, I think that is one of the biggest advantages of Swinburne, is that the location, wherever it is, where it is located around Swinburne University, there are plenty of opportunities for you to rent either on your own. There are lots of apartments, studio apartments, or you can also rent with a friend. And I know lots of friends. So I've seen most of my friends on average have rented something under like around $1,000 per month. They live comfortably. So that might have changed in the last few years, but I don't think so. But yeah, $1,000 to $1,200 you spend per month. You can rent something comfortably, and there are lots of opportunities. And the environment around Swinburne, like walking distance from Swinburne, you can get a lot of these houses or accommodation options. That is something that is, I think, biggest advantage of Swinburne.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, just thanks, Muna. That was really helpful, from a student's perspective. We do have on campus, as you said, like we have uni-lodge apartments around the campus, and also on campus we have some accommodation facilities available for our students. So the on-campus accommodation in Australia, generally speaking, will be offered firstly to our undergraduate students. So students who are in 17 or 18 years old, coming to the campus from interstate or from internationally, they get basically to choose first, basically, and place in the on-campus accommodation. As Muna said, there are heaps of opportunities around the campus for off-campus. We do have a website that can support the students to find an off-campus accommodation. So once the students receive an offer, they within that offer letter, there are a lot of information that can help them to find an accommodation. And through a pre-departure session which we run for our students before coming to Australia, we also help them to, if they haven't managed to find an accommodation, to find a place to stay. Being close to a train station, which make it also easier to find accommodation in the surrounding suburbs, which can be a bit cheaper than Hawthorn as well, because Hawthorn is one of the most expensive suburbs in Melbourne. So it's a very sort of high-end area in Melbourne. That's why it makes it being in Hawthorn a very sort of fantastic opportunity. But surrounding suburbs, going a little bit further down the east, they can find other options as well. So I myself live in Mooroolbark, which is towards the end of the line. It's a very leafy suburb. So I suggest you guys, if you come to Melbourne and you're going to try to go sightseeing in Yarra Valley, you pass the Mooroolbark and Lilydale area. From there, which is the second last train station, basically, to Lilydale, which is the last stop, it only takes me 30 minutes to get to work every day. So even you live in Mooroolbark, there's only 30 minutes train ride to the campus, so which makes it fantastic.
Just to add on that, I lived in the southeastern suburb of Clayton, and Dandenong has Dandenong, Clayton. These are areas which have a huge population, international. It's a very multicultural place, especially people from our background, like South Asian people. Usually, there are a lot of South Asian people in that area, so it was very much like home. I had all kinds of, being a Muslim student, I was looking for halal opportunities. There was plenty of halal food, halal everything. So it was very easy for me to live in Clayton, which is close to Dandenong. And from there, it was also 30 minutes drive, 30 minutes train station. So there is a station at Clayton. So I used to sometimes take the train, but sometimes drive there. It was 30 minutes. And wherever you live, Melbourne is not very big in terms of when you compare it to Sydney. Sydney, wherever you go, it's minimum 1 hour is like minimum. So in Melbourne, in that case, I think is a very cosmopolitan, yet a very much smaller than other big mega cities like Sydney. So it is very easy for you to live in one of the, like, the living cost can be adjusted by, like, if you just choose to live a little bit far away, you can live closer to your friends, closer to your other other options like food or whatever you feel like you want to live close to. And then from there, you can still travel to the campus at a minimal time, like less than half an hour.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that, guys. We have a couple more questions here in our webinar, but we are running out of time today, so we're going to answer them offline for you. And what I'll do now is move on to our tutorial so that I can show everyone how they can continue this conversation about studying in Melbourne, or studying at Swinburne, and studying engineering, if that's what you're interested in a one-on-one conversation with an education expert. So I'll say thank you and goodbye for now to Mahdi and Muna. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We all are very pleased that we were able to hear about your experience and your knowledge about what it's like to live and study in Melbourne and at Swinburne.
Thanks, Rena, for facilitating that.
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rena.
Thank you.
No problem. And stay tuned, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining our live video session today. What I'm going to do now is show you how to get your very own Sofiri education expert. You'll get free education counselling that is tailor-made for your situation, and you can chat about courses, universities, colleges, or whatever it is you're after from your education journey in Australia. They'll also help you make your application and even apply for a student visa if you need one. All right, here we go. So if you're not already signed up to Sofiri, head over onto sofiri.com and click sign up. Enter in the email address you'd like to use along with a password and hit the sign up button. You'll be sent an email asking you to verify that it was you who signed up with us. So all you need to do here is click through the email and you're in. Okay, so at the beginning, you'll see a quick little video showing you how Sofiri works. And I do recommend giving it a watch if you have some time. Once you click on My Profile, you'll need to enter in a few of your details so our education experts can have a good idea of where to begin a conversation with you. We are HTTPS and hosted in Australia, so you can be confident that your details are 100% secure. You'll need to enter in your given name, your surname, your date of birth, your email address, your country of citizenship, your current location, and your phone number. In the additional details box, you can select your highest level of study achieved and your latest degree and language that you prefer to chat in to give your education expert a little bit more information about yourself. Once you've done this, it'll be time to choose your education expert. So you'll click on Find an Expert, and in the box here you'll enter in where you'd like to study, what discipline you'd like to study, and your intended level of study. And that's important for you to pop in there because that's information that will again be sent to your education expert so that they can have the best information possible to help inform their advice to you. So I'm having a look at the listings here and I can see that there's Laurie here with 13 years of experience. She's from Sydney, Australia, and she speaks English. So I'm going to read more about Laurie. And I can see that I'm happy with her bio and I'd like to have a chat with her directly. So I'm going to click Choose. So Laurie's online right now. I can see from that little green highlighted box next to her name. And I can expect Laurie to respond to me as soon as she's seen my message. She's got my details, so she knows a little bit about my story and will soon be able to start talking about courses and universities or colleges. Laurie will also make a study application on my behalf once I've chosen where and what I'd like to study. We can make up to 3 applications together and she'll guide me through the whole process. So this is an important piece of information for you to know, which is that all the guidance and advice and services that Laurie provides me with are completely free. So if I choose to accept my offer at a university or college, I'll pay the same course fees to them as if I'd done it myself with them directly. So Laurie is simply here to make the entire process easier for me. And that's it. So you can head on over now to sofuri.com to sign up. And again, I'd like to thank you for joining our live video session today. And if you head on over to Facebook and find this video recording, feel free to post up any more questions that you have for us about the topic we've spoken about. We're more than happy to answer you. And I hope to see you at more of our sessions in the future.